Resident Evil Requiem, Gamescom, path tracing. It's here. It's RE Engine. We played it. We got to be quick, but it's awesome. It's me, John, and I'm here with
Alex Battaglia here. We're at Gamescom. We're having a good time, and we went to an Nvidia presentation today showing off a lot of stuff, including
Resident Evil Requiem, which is really interesting, leading here on the PC. And it's a beautiful game so far. So they essentially let us play a small demo where you play as Grace, and right away when you start it, you get the option between third person or first person. They actually recommend first person for your initial play, but I went for third person since you guys did, well, you and Rich, who is not here at the moment, did the first person view. And it seems like it's trying to sort of like follow the Resident Evil Village style play. You go through it. It's like sort of a scary dark hallway, trying to solve puzzles along the way, figure out the mystery of why you're there, what's going on. It's good stuff. We'll have a lot more to say about that, of course, coming up. But as we have limited time today, let's get into it, because the main thing here is that this is the first RE Engine game to support path tracing. And I assume it's also going to have pretty robust ray tracing on other platforms as well. But here, the path tracing solves a lot of problems. If you've paid attention to what we've talked about with RE Engine games in the past, there's been many issues. Reflections, primarily SSR, very noisy. A lot of breakup, many issues there. The SSAO has traditionally not been very good. There's been issues with raised black levels. Like RE2 Remake was especially bad for this, where the dark areas were sort of like grayed out and everything. Things like this really kind of haunted the game. But at Gamescom here, we were ushered into this nice room. Everybody's, well, mostly got to play on these beautiful OLED screens. I played on a powerful laptop with an LCD, so lots of backlight glow. But my first impression was like, just wow. And Alex, I think you can talk about how they kind of solved some of these problems here with the path tracer.
Yeah, basically, it looks like they're using path tracing here, where we see direct lighting, as in the shadows from lights directly being ray traced, which is new for the engine entirely. There's obviously been ray traced indirect lighting before with GI and reflections. So one of the things in the RE Engine games that we've seen often is that the shadows can be kind of either really heavily stippled or blocky, depending upon the platform you're on. And the TAA or even DLSS hasn't always been really good at cleaning it up. You also see them sometimes being just unrealistic in where they're being cast and projected from. So you got really incredible, tight, detailed shadows from the smallest of surfaces. And they also came from pretty much any and every object that was light emitting, including like your little lighter that you carry around in the demo.
Which was glorious, by the way. When you first turn that on, it's like, whoa.
Flip it on. It's really cool. You get a lot of the flashing lights. There's a lot of lamps you can turn on and off, which is really cool to see all that direct lighting. And it's, once again, pixel perfect, so it looks really great. Then you have the indirect lighting. So I would, like John, also say that the SSR and even the RT reflections, like RT reflections in the engine have been okay enough, but they require you to get like super sampled to actually start looking pretty great.
Right,
usually.
right.
And here, with ray reconstruction on, they made a lot of surfaces look a lot better. It's kind of like a lot of wood surfaces, a lot of like semi-matte walls with like gloss when you get at an angle, and all this kind of stuff, because it's kind of mid-century look to the area we were in.
But Alex, the big thing, and I think the thing that impresses, well, partially the most, I would say, is the fact that transparent materials also receive RT reflections. So that means things like panes of glass now accurately reflect the scene. They do so beautifully, too.
Yeah, it's great. Another thing that I'm not sure, we didn't get to ask anyone. John spoke Japanese with some people there, but it's hard to know whether or not they're also doing path traced transparency. So reflections were there. But one thing that I also noticed while looking at a couple of light bulb casings, and like there's like semi-transparent glass in front of some of the bulbs that are lit, is that there's like a diffuse look to the light scattering through them. There's ways to do that in screen space, but also it just looked so convincing. It really did look fantastic. And that's like, I'm very curious. We saw that added in an update to Alan Wake 2 in their ultra settings that were released in a patch, which was really cool. So maybe this is one of the titles that's also using it too. But in general, the lighting was really spectacular. It was very reactive. But at the same time, I would say it wasn't lagging too much, but it had issues with fizzle. Wouldn't you say so, John?
Yeah, that's kind of the main thing. If you kind of looked, and especially in the darker areas where the light's kind of like leaking around the surfaces a little bit. I don't mean light leak, but you know, the reflections, that there's a bit of that like swimming noise where it feels like it's almost alive, where you see a little bit of motion in areas that should be static, which is something we've definitely seen before. Well, especially it kind of reminds me a little bit of the older initial titles with ray reconstruction, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not as severe,
Yeah.
but it was there.
I wonder if that's an integration thing or if it's specific to the early version we saw. Another thing that I
Still
think,
in development, of course. That's the thing to keep in mind about this. And even if they don't fix it, it's still absolutely stunning. But it would be nice to just take it up a little more.
yeah. One thing that I think was complicating it too is that the game had an ever-present depth of field. It's cool for a visual effect, but depending upon how that is integrated into the title, it could be confusing ray reconstruction as well too, is another thing that I was thinking about while playing it. But in general, like, it looked really good, but the instability of ray reconstruction in indirectly lit areas was visibly there, and it was like jittering. We have some footage of it too as part of this video.
The thing is, though, that I really liked about this demo is that it kind of feels like, so maybe RE7 originally went for this feeling as well, but it reminds me of the whole PT demo thing, right?
Yeah.
Where you're kind of being stalked by this hunter, like very strange enemy through these dark hallways, but they really embrace the darkness. And this is something where there was a period of time where a lot of games would sort of target more lit looking areas, which I think helps combat against poor black level performance of LCDs, I have to say.
Yeah.
This game feels like it was made for OLED.
Yeah.
Or, that kind of screen. Because playing on the laptop, I did say, there was a lot of backlight glow.
Yeah. On the OLED, I think my footage was actually HDR originally. It may need tone mapping down to SDR to look right for this video, but it initially starts up and it's just like pure blackness, and then you kind of see the main character. And every single time you go into a new area, it's typically unlit other than like some distant source, and you see the bounce light from that source, but it's mainly almost pure black in the areas. And the OLED looked specifically pretty incredible, and it did not have the RE2 raised black
No,
issue.
that is so key.
Yeah.
That felt awesome. But man, it's I'm curious to see what they do with the actual game from here, because this was much more focused on puzzling. You did not really have much in the way of direct combat in this demo. Like, you could throw bottles, you could interact with things, and while avoiding the creature. But it was a little bit different. But I'm fairly sure it's going to be quite expanded in the final game, and I'm curious to see where they go from here.
Yeah, I mean, in the demo, I didn't get up seeing the creature because I was too busy looking at, these materials look great with path tracing. But from what I saw, it did seem like a big part of it was hide and seek gameplay, akin to something that you might have seen in Alien Isolation. It felt that way a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of materials, that was another thing that really jumped out. I'm a big fan of when they do more natural materials, right? Like stone, little statues, different like things around this environment. It was absolutely just stunning to behold. They did just an incredible job sort of like bringing these to life in a way. It's the best I've seen in RE Engine, I think. Like, RE Engine games have generally looked gorgeous, but I haven't seen this sort of material meticulousness to date.
Yeah.
And this makes sense, right? Because this is the first Resident Evil game on RE Engine that is not targeting last generation platforms. So not only do we get these new features here on the PC, but it's also a fully current generation game, finally.
Yeah, it's going to have a lot of benefits in terms of what we see in the visuals, as well as texture resolution and geometry. One thing that I really liked is that since they do have first and third person mixing, their third person animations for your character are even good in the first person mode, which you get to appreciate when you look in any of the like reflective surfaces that are scattered around the environment. Like, you can see the Grace character like cowering in fear while looking in mirrors and stuff. It was really, really cool. But general, just incredible material work.
So you see Grace's face directly in cutscenes, so they're not trying to hide it like Ethan or whatever. But when you look in the mirror, you do get those nice reflections, but they also still kind of obfuscate her face. So I was enjoying that, trying to look at the ray traced reflections in the mirrors, of course.
Yeah, but there's only so much we can say in this shorter video here, right, John?
Yes, there are limitations on what we can say, but needless to say, I'm very excited for it. I mean, I love these games. I definitely will be covering the game for DF, and I think you will too.
Definitely.
It deserves multiple videos.
Yeah, especially since I've been critical of a lot of previous Capcom titles, so it'll be cool to see if this is like a large remedying of the issues we've found.
And aside
before.
from that little bit of noise, this was basically perfect out of right now. Like, it's absolutely amazingly polished. So look out for coverage coming in the future, and we'll see you next time.